Welcome to another video on Systema Kadoshnikova, presented to you by Transition CRT. Today we'll be discussing the principle of sliding, one of the elements from the ground acrobatics. Slidings might be useful, for instance, when running and tripping over objects or while being pushed. For the military, they might be very useful when, for instance, presented in a situation or dealing with a situation when you have a certain threat from the rear and you are in necessity to change directions and immediately lower your posture by going to the ground. There are some important elements when executing this motion I will stress on in order to keep it safe and prevent any injuries while executing it. So please make sure to pay attention to those. Like I said before, sliding initially is initiated from a certain movement or inertia. So during my explanation, it will be hard for me to replicate this inertia. I will do it later on, showing the whole movement to you. But for the explanation, I will do it from a static position by explaining the elements in a systematic way, step by step. One of the first things when conducting a sliding we would like to pay attention to is lowering the impact from your body to the ground. In order to minimize that force and that speed, we will have to put our whole body in a position preferably flat or near flat to the surface, in this case the ground. The way to do it is by creating a sharp angle as possible in order to create a certain ricochet movement. The first element for me to conduct a sliding on will be my right leg in this example. By stretching my right leg to the far end as far as possible and twisting my hip, in this case towards the right, I'll be already able to create some of the surface applicable for me before I actually make the impact with the ground. So stretching the leg first is the first element I would like you to pay attention to. Then I'll proceed with stretching my foot. Basically overstretch it almost, and then rotate it, in this case, in an upward position. By doing so, I will be able to minimize the amount of friction between the foot and the ground and also the rest of my leg. This amount of friction might be responsible for creating injuries to your ankle or maybe even your Achilles heel when not executed in a proper way. So one more time again, stretch out the leg, overstretch the foot and your toes and twist it or rotate it away like this. A second thing I would like you to pay attention to, as I'm right now resting on my right hand, you will have to do the same while conducting this movement. The whole issue here is not to put the entire body mass on your hand and by doing so overstressing the joint, which is your wrist, but just shortly and gently use the arm to divert the motion and the movement of the sliding by pushing away your body from those hands. So two main elements to pay attention to here first. Make sure to overstretch the leg you'll be sliding on. Turn your toes up and turn them away from the surface in order to prevent injuries to the ankle and the Achilles heel. And do not put your entire body mass on that wrist, on that hand that you will be using initially to start diverting the motion and then continue by pushing away your body in the direction of the movement. right? Like I said before, it's very hard to show it to you from a static position, so now I have to create some motion and inertia to show it to you how it works in real. Here we go. Also make sure to hollow your back by pushing your legs up and lifting your chest. By doing so, I'm not only minimizing the amount of surface that could create friction with the ground, but I'm also enabling my body to rest on the ground only on my soft tissue. So both my hips, my knees, and all the other hard parts, all the joints, are raised above ground level to prevent injury. I hope you have found this useful. Make sure to like us and please subscribe to our YouTube channel to see our follow-on videos. Thanks for your time, thanks for watching. See you next time.